The Scottish venison sector has been reviewing how it can improve food safety standards and minimise risk. Everyone involved has a moral responsibility from what happens on the hill or in the forest to when that product leaves for the processor to ensure that the highest standards are met. This short film gives practical guidance to stalkers and deer managers on preparing a carcass immediately after a roe deer has been shot, and approaches gralloching with the focus of food safety and minimising contamination. In this film, we follow the process of field dressing a roebuck to remove intestines, pluck, and all internal organs in the field. The carcass should be grallocked following best practice and as soon as possible after the kill, and certainly no more than 1 hour afterwards. Any delay will make the stalker's job harder and also increase the risk of contamination, as bacteria can migrate through the gut wall. Any blowing up of the stomach also increases the risk of a gut spill during the gralloch, and consequently the spread of harmful bacteria. Where the carcass is not going to be dragged, as is the case here, a bigger cut can be made to allow easier tying off of the food pipe. Where a carcass will be dragged, avoid areas where sheep or cattle have been grazing. Here, the food pipe has been cut and tied off, but a cable tie could also be used. Through the whole process, the stalker should be aware of anything passing from outside the carcass to the inside, and anything from the gut leaching out. Use a knife that can be easily cleaned. Your knife should always be cleaned before and between gralloching different animals, and, ideally, between any outside work, in contact with the hair, and any inside cutting. To minimise the risk of feces and droppings getting into the carcass, and if the method being used is to fully core out the back end as shown here, go in with your hand and gently squeeze all the droppings back down the gut towards the stomach. When coring out the back end, make sure not to cut into the haunch or into the back passage itself. To do this, the knife should be inserted gently into the rectum area. Also, avoid exerting any pressure on the bladder. Once freed from the inside, the back passage can be cable tied and cut, and then pulled back through. Here, the stalker shows how droppings have not been able to escape, and therefore a main area of high risk has been minimised. As this is a full field dressing, the stalker cuts carefully around the diaphragm and gently pulls the pluck so that the whole pluck and digestive tract comes away and can be extracted in one go, making small additional cuts to release it where necessary. As the pluck is not going back to the larder on this occasion, the trained hunter should make a full examination in the field in line with best practice. The carcass can be lifted by the back legs to make sure that all blood has drained from the body cavity. As this carcass will be removed using a roe sack, which should be thoroughly cleaned after each use, the head and feet can be removed. Once the head is off, be sure to check the lymph nodes at the back of the head and throat. Remember that in areas of high public pressure, all waste should be removed using a suitable bag. We are now better informed with regard to where E. coli 0157 and other pathogenic bacteria may arise in this first part of the food supply chain. There is no doubt that the sourcing and handling of wild venison presents a number of challenges that are different from other sectors of our meat industry. But the fact that you are handling a food product for human consumption must be taken strongly into consideration at all times. All the stoker's hard work can be pointless unless the carcass is cooled without delay. Meat at the wrong temperature provides the ideal environment for bacteria to multiply rapidly. A swift transfer of the carcass into the cold chain is one area of this whole process over which the stoker has absolute control. This should always be at the forefront of the hunter's mind. If there is any doubt at all, then the carcass should not be presented for processing for human consumption. Cooking food properly and following cookery instructions is also essential in making sure that food is absolutely safe to eat.